Yeah, so thank you everyone for coming. Welcome to AltspaceVR, and welcome to this crazy, weird, I guess, TEDx-ish style talk.
Thanks for having us, Bruce.
Yeah, exactly. So like, I'm just going to walk back and forth and look like I actually know what I'm talking about, and that will be great. So we'll see. I'm using Kinect V2 to get my arm motions. It also allows me to move my body side to side. You'll get that in addition to the, all the tracking of the DK2. So I can lean forward, put my arms forward, lean back. If I take a knee, I can go Stella, and all that. That all works. And if yeah, it's really crazy. And if I just look to the side, push the middle mouse button, and move my arms like this, it looks like I'm running, which is great. So. So very good. So yeah, it's a pretty interesting implementation, very early, very experimental, but still quite functional and great for the nonverbal communication. There, very good. So let me actually back this thing up just a little bit here. Pull up my slide, and here we go. So GDC, how did it start? With liquor, of course. That is how every good GDC must begin. There was a bunch of people there. I think in the picture that you see up there is Olivier was giving me a big hug. We have Stefan, who's inventor of the Drovas Dive. We have Blair, Technolust, and Sean Shover, who make Lunar Flight. We grabbed some drinks, and we met more devs after that and had more drinks. So that's exactly what went down before GDC happened.
Alcoholism.
Yes, of course. Why not? That's the way these things have to go. One of the really cool things about GDC was the sheer amount of workshops, presentations, talks about VR. Every day there was at least, I would say, 2 to 3 things that were in major locations that were fully attended, super packed houses about VR. From Carmack's talk to the Valve talk, there was an NVIDIA talk that they talked about VR Direct and some time warp stuff, which was really, really, really wild. What was a VR for Indies panel, which had E. McNeil, the dude that made CS and Darknet. He was a bunch of just indie devs that are doing VR, talking about some of the challenges in the market and stuff like that, which is pretty freaking cool. Then let me see, am I missing? Oh, there was one. The dude in the upper left corner is he's the lead guy for Dead Secret. It was an iPad game that they ported to VR, to Gear VR specifically, and they actually did a great job in thinking about some of the design they did. It's definitely worth checking out. They did a lot of design changes to changing the nature of their puzzles. They have text actually floating in midair or attached to items rather than floating in front of your face. They're just talking about some really cool tricks and design stuff that was really, really neat. Man, it was really amazing. So that was kind of a highlight to be able to actually be have a schedule and go to these things that are VR specific, as opposed to GDC last year where it was just kind of hanging out at certain booths or whatever, which was like, it was very exciting, but it felt so much more official. So that was pretty cool. So yes, very good. Let's see. Next. One of the coolest demos I tried was Lucky's Tale. I don't know how many people have actually heard about this or checked this out. It was pretty, I guess, notable when it was announced and released. Same dude, Paul Benner, did Words with Friends as a company Playful, and this was freaking good. It was freaking good. Oh my God. So it's it's not doing a whole lot new on the gameplay side. You're definitely going to be reminded of Banjo-Kazooie, Banjo-Tooie, or Super Mario 64. So definitely, but it gets that down to a T, and the artwork is beautiful. The character is very alive, but the thing that it adds is that the way it adds you in as a VR observer of this third-person world is just brilliant. Like, shrink down the world, they shrink it down so that you're kind of not moving as fast. Like the camera, if they had it just regular size, you'd be moving super fast through the world, right? And instead they have the world small, so actually you move slower. They like played a lot with the height and position, where you're positioned, and then you're actually an actor in the scenes. So like if you control Lucky through some like hanging weeds and stuff like that, like as they pass through your face, like they kind of rush aside, and like your head's there, like you're actually watching, like you're there. Like you even headbutt stuff in the level, like you put your head in and like headbutt an enemy. It was really crazy. So like, wow, I was super impressed with Lucky's Tale. Definitely looking forward to what those guys come up with next. Awesome. Are there any questions before I move on to the next slide? I guess I should.
Yeah, where do I get Lucky's Tale? Is it available?
No, it's not available yet, man. They had a demo they had like I basically went to a hotel room at the Four Seasons that they had the demo in, and they also were at our VR mixer as well. That was at GDC, but they don't have a demo released yet. So hopefully soon. I hope to see that because it's really quite good. So I was really happy to check that out. Yes. And in the chat, VR mic on camera causing effects. Interesting. Okay, I'm just kind of checking the chat here, seeing how they're doing with the chat bot. Next, NVIDIA. There was all these rumors. NVIDIA is going to be like making the next VR headset, blah, blah, blah. No, it's it's a Roku on... it's more like a Roku on crystal meth. It's kind of the NVIDIA Shield is just out of control. Like this little thing, basically is kind of a little bit more powerful than the Xbox 360. So it plays games, and then they have this whole NVIDIA Grid situation, which is like basically a bunch of supercomputers with titans that are piping the graphics for you, and then like after they render the graphics, they pipe them back to your system, which is like pretty good. I mean it's pretty cool. I actually did test it on the floor of GDC. Tested some of the live grid stuff with like a twitchy action game. I played Street Fighter, and it was playable. It was comparable to online play on the console, which was super impressive. But if you can take a look at that image right there, it says grid half the blink of an eye. If you find that image, it kind of breaks down the delay in milliseconds for each stage of the process. And if you add all that stuff up, that becomes 150 milliseconds just to get the stuff sent to the grid, processed, and then back to your machine, to your screen. So that's 150 milliseconds delay on top of everything else that's going on. Definitely not a VR machine. Get that out of your head. I would be very surprised if there was any VR offerings for this NVIDIA console. But it's kind of establishing the foundation of something that's going to be important in the future, like outsourcing graphics to the cloud, right? That's going to be super, super important when VR is proliferated and you want more and more powerful experiences or photorealistic graphics, but you don't want, to have a freaking desktop in your pocket. That's the technology that's going to make that possible. So exciting, kind of an aside to VR, I would say, but it was very, very, it had some exciting points, and the presentation was definitely cheesy, but it was cool. Another demo I did was the perception neuron. So there's a picture of a guy doing a little demo. They had like a glove with IMUs on the on the knuckles, and it's not bad. I've tried Control VR as well. Control VR is probably a little bit better. Like I was able to hold out my hand, make the live long and prosper, and then cross those fingers. And Control VR gets that. Perception neuron does not. So that is kind of like the level of precision. I was like, I wanted it to be a little better. They had this full bodysuit thing. It'd take like at least 10 to 15 minutes to get people in and out of. They had a couple of DK2 demos. One where you're like, you put your arms out and you control your flight, and you can flick your wrist to like throw fireballs. And then there was another one that was just basically you grabbing a ball and throwing it into a bucket. And they were okay. I mean, they were pretty decent. I would say they were pretty decent, but definitely a bit limited. Control VR I was more impressed by. But they had a huge footprint at GDC. Like they had this huge booth. Well, huge in comparison to what I thought they would have. It was like, you know, pretty decent, like, you know, maybe a 15, 20 square foot, you know, the footprint that they had. So I was pretty impressed with that. That was pretty neat indeed. There we go. For those of you that have just joined, I see some questions in the chat there. I'm using a Kinect V2. So that's how I'm getting some motion. I'm able to walk back and forth and get some arms articulated that way. So these are not Hydras. It's a new avatar, the Brucitar, that was made here. And there we go. So next is OSVR. Did that demo as well. It was okay. So I think I gotta back that up. I think the focus has been on the hardware of OSVR instead of what the potential of it is. So it's like this open system. Basically, it has the potential to be this VR middleware, where no matter what input you have, you can plug into OSVR as the system, and it becomes like the Linux of VR. That's the comparison. So the hardware itself is not really the focus. The focus is like the software, the SDK, the middleware, and all that stuff that's surrounding it. Yeah. The hardware itself, it was kind of decent as far as its view, but the head model that they had in there was all wrong. The positional tracking was not there. There's no positional tracking, so it was like DK1 with a very, very pretty screen. But the neck model was broke. Like, if you go like to right or left with your head, like it would like go woo like that, like a woo, like it wasn't actually like going just directly, or it felt like it was doing that. So the head neck model was definitely not where it should be. But the highlight was actually meeting that man, that gentleman up there with the wild hair, who's looks like he could possibly be my evil older brother.
You can pick an anime from that.
Exactly. It's like, what the heck, this guy? So that's Rod. He's with Real Space 3D Audio, the audio suite that Oculus is using to do their stuff. Great work. That demo was amazing. I was able to close my eyes and then turn my head, open my eyes, and see that the thing that was making the noise was right where I expected it to be, and that's fantastic. So the demo was even better than their Tuscany speaker demo, which that guy actually made as well. He made that demo, but the latest stuff that they have is really good. So I was pretty impressed by that. So that's the skinny on OSVR. Very cool. Morpheus. Oh my God.
Good.
Yes. Wow. Morpheus was really good. Did I even beam it up there?
Nope.
I didn't. I got so excited I just looked at my slide and just almost started crying. So here we go. Morpheus, dude. Oh my camera. Oh my God. Freaking. It's so good. So they had a couple demos. They had one where you see a picture of there, which is called London Heist. It's basically you're this dude. You start off like in a chair, and they actually the demo they have you sit down, and this dude's talking about how he's just gonna f you up and just like where Shirley, whatever. And like holy crap, he has a blowtorch, and then he tells you to stand up. And the demo guy actually tells you to stand up. They take the chair away, and then he hands you a phone. And you use the PlayStation Move controller to grab the phone, and you put it to your ear. It's like 3D audio, and you could put it to your ear and listen to the call. And you could, like, transfer the phone to your other hand and put it up to your other ear. I was like, what? And then, so that was ridiculous. And then after that, it kind of fades to black, fades back into this room that you see when you have the gloves and you're behind a desk. And it doesn't start as a shootout like that. It actually starts like you're trying to sneak. There's guards coming in and out of this room. You're behind this desk, and you're trying to, like, you're opening drawers and leaning to peek in them, taking shit out of drawers. Like, I got a gun, I put it on the desk. I got some magazines, I put it on the other side. I got this key, opened a cabinet, took a jewel, alarm went off, grabbed the gun, put the magazine inside the gun, and then just down behind the desk and start shooting. Oh, shit, it was dope. It was really, really good. And then the other demo they had was like featuring their, if you do anything with the PlayStation camera, you know those little robots that they have that kind of go around and go, yay, and all that kind of shit.
Yep.
That is what that demo was. So you had a controller, and the controller was tracked, and the robots came out of the controller in real time, and they had a bunch of stuff like a light. You can start like a little dance club. They had, like, you can see yourself holding the PlayStation controller because the PlayStation 4 controller was tracked. So you actually, they put like a TV screen where the touchpad was, and so you can put it to your face and like watch a little video, which was really wild. And then they had this little bedroom. It was like a dollhouse full of mini versions of the robots that you can peek in on, and when you peek in on them, they will do something funny. And that demo was running at 120 frames a second. Flawless. So it's 120 frames a second. That's stereo in the headset, and a mono view that's on the TV that's in the room. So how they're getting that out of a PlayStation 4, I have no idea, but Sony is like in there to like, wow, I was so impressed. And then, you know, there's improvements to the headset. It was a little more comfortable. There was a button on the underside, or right underside, where you push it and kind of scoot the headset in and out, which was good. I understand that flips up as well, kind of like easy style, which was nice. And then the clarity of the screen, it was a super OLED display in there. Was very, very good. Like loads better than the demo a year ago at GDC. So good. So super impressed with Sony, for sure. Really good stuff. Sweet. Questions out there? Are we good?
Yeah, so you mentioned OSVR. How do you compare that to OpenHMD?
I haven't tried OpenHMD, actually. So I haven't actually got a chance to see that and see what it is. So OSVR, I'm kind of excited because it has, you know, Razer's pocketbook behind it. They seem to be taking it seriously. And I talked to some people over there, and what they've explained made it a little more clear what they were about, that it was like, it was going to be like this whole middleware open source solution for pretty much every type of input, every type of HMD. Yeah, I'll make sure to look into OpenHMD and see what that's about and how it compares.
Yeah, my understanding was that OpenHMD was supposed to be more of the middleware and OSVR is supposed to be more of the hardware, but I guess you're saying that Razer's definitely going for the middleware software portion, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It seems like it's just a whole package. Like it's a whole, like they have that, the hardware is like the kit, but like it's the whole thing that they're going on with, which is under like OSVR, from what I've understood anyway. So yeah, very good. I'll bring up my private browser, check out the chat. Let's see that. Virtual reality underwear. I don't even know what people are talking about now. Who's ahead in the VR hardware race at this point? I will answer that question with the next slide.
Wow.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Vive.
Vive, what everyone has been waiting to hear about. I know you want to hear about it. It's okay. Shh, people out there, shh, shh, shh. It's okay. It's going to be, it's so good. I'm just going to kind of walk through the play-by-play and detail of the whole thing, and then feel free to ask me questions after, because this is almost the end of the presentation. But I'm just going to go down just exactly what happened with the Vive. I have some notes. I'm just going to like go off of those and give you the lowdown. So you go in. It's a room that's about 10 by 10-ish. There's 2 laser beam stations that are kind of cat-a-corner in the room. So like, imagine like, you know, they're not directly across. They're like in the different corners. These base stations don't seem to connect to anything. I guess they're plugged into the wall, which I found was just power. The lasers actually sweep the room. So they're just sweeping. They're not like getting data like LiDAR or anything like that. It's just literally like sweeping the room, and I guess it gives out like some kind of timing beacon to the actual like hardware, the HMD controllers or whatever else you have stuff on. Yeah. So that was the deal there. Basically, I sat in a chair. I put a belt pack on because I had a belt pack for the controllers because they were not wireless yet. There was like a Velcro straps. It was really easy. Velcro straps on the HMD, put that on. My glasses fit in comfortably. Things didn't fog up. It was super comfortable. Heavier than the Crescent Bay for sure, but more comfortable than Crescent Bay or Gear. So I mean, that can change, but it was pretty damn comfortable, which was cool. What else? Looking at the lenses inside, clearly Fresnel lenses. You can see the concentric circles, concentric rings on the lenses there. You put the headset on, and I looked for screen door. I could barely see anything. If you squint and try hard, you can definitely tell it's like kind of a pentile display situation going on. But once action starts happening, it's pretty much negligible. Like you have nothing to worry about there. So after I'm all set up, I'm sat down. I have the headset on. He basically tells me to stand up, removes the chair, then he hands me a controller. He's behind me, and he's like, "Oh, here's a controller down on your right." And I look down, and there's a controller floating in the air, just floating there. And I go to grab it, and I get it first try. And he hands me the one on the right. I get to grab it. I grab that first try. And I'm like, holy crap. I put the things together. They touch in VR at the same place they touch in real life, no matter what I do. So this tracking is like sub-millimeter accuracy. It's insane. Insane. Wasn't able to break it. At one point in the demo, I did lie down on the floor and roll around carefully, and that did not break the tracking. It was really, really good. So it was really, really impressive. Really impressive. So, excellent. I'm in the middle. Yeah. Yep. What else? So, I'm in there. I have the controllers. I'm checking them out. They have basically touchpads on each controller. They give a little bit of haptic feedback. The touchpads click in with your thumb. There's a trigger on the back for your finger, and then the rest of your hand can squeeze the controller, and there's 2 buttons on the side. So it gives you this modality where you can have any combination of thumb, pointer finger, and the rest of your fingers to have that in VR if your VR hands are actually doing that, right? Which is like really, really cool. And they started with like this simple demo where it's kind of showing you where your thumb is in real time on the touchpad. There's a color wheel on the other one. You click, it makes a balloon on top of the controller of that same color. And it kind of gets you acclimated to the room. There's like a glowing rectangle that's a safe zone. If you keep walking, it pops up with a grid that's pretty much the wall in real life. And it's perfectly aligned with the wall in real life. Like I reached out, touched the wall, and it was there. And that's something that it doesn't do automatically. You have to calibrate. So evidently at the beginning of the day or whatever, like they walk to the different corners of the room and say, this is a corner, this is a corner, this is a corner, and then it makes your room, your rectangular, solid in 3D. And then it goes off of that as this is the boundaries of your room, right? So that was really impressive. Pretty happy to see that. And then everything's set up. I'm already super impressed. And the demos start. And it's like a construct. It's all white. They have these little panels with demos that are in development. You literally walk over to a panel and you say start. You hold the trigger. It fades to white. And then there was just a series of just crazy demos. There was like a freaking HTC demo that was like soothing sound that had all these like hexagon pillars that move out of the way as you walk over to them. There was a alien surgery simulator, which was super, super creepy. It was in space, but it's like things kind of unveil little by little. You have your hands, you can grab stuff. So I was like throwing stuff at the alien and hitting it. It was like very accurate, and things were floating around the room in 3D space, and I'm hitting them. It was nuts. There was the blue from Wemo Labs, which is basically makes your space like the end of an underwater giant pirate ship, and you're watching all these fish. Your controllers are kind of ghost-like, and you're able to swirl the water and shoo fish away. A giant whale comes by. I saw the barnacles on its tail. It was nuts. And the highlight, I think, of the demo is that portal room demo and Google Earth and Tilt Brush. Geez, those three demos were amazing. So Tilt Brush, some of you have probably already played Tilt Brush, like with some hydras. Like, think of that experience just like just amped up and with unreasonable amount of accuracy. Like because of the accuracy is so ridiculous in sub-millimeter on Tilt Brush, like you just basically just like it just feels like you're just right there. Like, you know, you dip into one controller like a cube palette to get your material, and then you just paint in real 3D. And like you can make like 3D spiral and walk into it. I made a cube of fire, put rainbows inside, put my head inside of it. It was just some crazy stuff. Google Earth was amazing because they made you as tall as like the Transamerica building, and then you're just standing there, and you're just huge. And then so I was able to like get down, and I laid down on Market Street, and just looked up at the buildings. It was just just wild, just absolutely wild. And then and then the portal demo was just insane. Like, it had you in this room, and basically the gameplay made you walk to different places in the room, like to open a drawer or to walk over to another place and like pull a lever so a door opens up so some other stuff comes in. And it's just all this interactivity and comedy too. Like, you'll like open a drawer, and you open the drawer, and it's like, you have opened the wrong drawer. Thank you for doing that. Now close the drawer, you know. So just kind of some of that Valve Portal humor that comes in, and then freaking GLaDOS comes in at the end of the demo, and the scale is just insane. Like, GLaDOS is like as big as the dojo building behind you back there. It is just like huge. GLaDOS comes down, and she's talking, and like her head fills up the entire room you're in, and you're like, what the hell is this? And then it like destroys the room, fades to black, and it says it's coming in 2015 to get you even more hype, as if you're not hype enough already. So yeah, that's probably the best, most exciting thing I saw at GDC, and one of those things that made me not worry about the future of VR. Like, they delivered that, dude. Like, there's gonna easily be, 5 million gamers that will be clearing out their living rooms to have that, right? To have that level of experience. Yeah. Oh, there we go. I got some claps. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, people will clear out bedrooms or living rooms or whatever to have this experience, because it's going to be just amazing. I mean, you'll have to design around it. Definitely. I mean, it's a whole nother modality of game design. You have to design for a player that's going to maybe walk around a 10-foot by 10-foot space and interact with it, and what is that player going to do, right? And then, so it's a whole different style of game design. Like, you might have seen the video for the Gallery 6 Elements, the demo that they had for Vive, which was really awesome, and it always keeps you in like an area of influence that you can have an effect on that's kind of roughly 10 foot by 10 foot. There's always stuff in that area, and then it transports you to another place, right? So I think that'll be the modality there, but wow, I mean, it'll be so worth it. So yes, Vive is just amazing, and I can't wait to have the guys start developing AltSpace for it. I think we'll be having a dev kit pretty soon here, and getting in on that, so that'll be really, really cool. And the last thing is the VR mixer was pretty. I came from the Vive demo like with my mind blown, and then a demo of AltSpace at the VR mixer. It was really cool. Vert and Justin Morpheus, who you see in the picture on the left over there, was there. They did kind of a concert with the music from Proton Pulse, which is really cool. Let's see, there was also The guy on the right over there, Shigeru Yoshida, actually tried Altspace, said it was very cool, and he also said he's seen my videos, so I was very happy that the president of Sony WorldWire Studios actually saw my stuff. A little fanboyism right there, but I was like, oh my god, that's really cool. And it was a really successful event. Collaborated with San Francisco VR, and it was really, really cool. I mean, there was like 1,000 people in this club. It was like super awesome, and there was like Valve people, Oculus, Sony people there. There was just a whole bunch of like really important people there, as well as just enthusiasts and movers and shakers. It was so crazy to watch. You know, the VR mixer from last year, which was maybe like, you know, a couple hundred people in this tiny club, to go to 1,000 people, and the caliber of people that were there were also just, it was just amazing. So, yeah, that's kind of the recap of GDC, what we have going on. So thank you very much for being patient and with me in this presentation. Thank you very much, everyone. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Bruce.
All right. Thank you. All right.
Clap, clap, clap.
Very good. All right. Sweet. Beautiful.